Welcome to Life Mastery for Women. I'm your host, Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. I've been studying mind mastery and emotional management and energy work and its connection to spirituality for over 25 years. And in this podcast, I help guide you out of your daily struggles in life in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality. Life is hard, but your daily growth doesn't have to be. Join me 3 times a week as I lead you inward on a healing, connecting, and creating journey. Let's go get that nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. Hey ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode where I hope I am finding you highly proactive in your own life. If you're not proactive in your life, then it is my intention that in today's episode I give you just one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. So today we're going to talk about how do you go from this victim mentality to holy crap, on fire, empowered, making shit work in your life. So I want to tell you a little bit of a story here. If you've been listening to my podcast often, you know that we have 3 boys. One is already out of the house. He's 28, just recently got married last October. And I adopted him as a teenager. He moved in at 15, shortly turned 16. I adopted him at 17, and his name is Bob. Then my partner Amy has 2 boys. One is 17. His name is Brandon, and he has autism. And then our youngest is Cameron, who in about 2 days is turning 14. And he has a high power need and a very high attention need. He's a very much a relationship kid for sure. So I want to talk about Brandon today. I don't usually talk about Brandon. I mostly talk about Cameron, but I want to talk about Brandon. So in describing his autism, you probably have met somebody who has autism. And like we always say, if you meet one kid with autism, you've met one kid with autism. And he is about 6'1" and about $125. And he is roughly, depends on the topic, but he's kind of like a 6, 7, 8-year-old at this emotional level and even as his academics. So today, he had a snow day, and so he was home with me, and we were working on money math. And this has been something that we have been advocating for his whole life, is to be teaching him life skills. Certain things that you would think, your neurotypical child picks up quickly. You teach them once or twice and they get it and they start to hone in the skill, and they are maybe not, like if you're talking about like brushing teeth, it might be, he doesn't want to do it, or they do it and they use too much toothpaste, but eventually in a short period of time, they get it. Well, with Brandon, you have to teach all of the steps. So instead, what we taught Cameron is we just kind of showed him the steps, right? Get the toothpaste, get it wet, or the toothbrush, get it wet, put toothpaste on it, brush your teeth, brush all your teeth, use your mouth, use a mirror, brush over the sink, all these things. Rinse everything when you're done. So he can Brandon or Cameron can, and neurotypical kids typically can just look at that skill, see what you're doing, and start to do that skill, right? With Brandon anyway, and maybe some other kids who have autism, you have to teach him literally the steps. So you have to talk him through all of the steps. And a lot of times, Brandon needs reassurance along the way. He needs a lot of coaxing. He needs a lot of explanation and a lot of correction. So even now, he's 17 years old, and we still have to monitor because a lot of times he will dump the whole tube of toothpaste in the drain. He will use way too much toothpaste. He doesn't brush all of his teeth. So there's lots of, and of course, we've been doing this, he moved in, I think he was 6, and then, 5 months later turned 7. So we've been doing this still. And there's a lot of skills like that for him that we have to really back way down and teach him in a different way that we would teach a neurotypical. So anyway, so we're talking about money math. I am a teacher at heart, and I'm constantly learning, constantly teaching things. Every time I learn something, I apply it in my life. And then if it goes well and it works well, then I teach it to everybody I know. And that's about every single topic. Personal development has been my favorite because that's the core of who we are. We can develop ourselves as a person, then we pretty much can do anything we want on this planet. And that's pretty exciting to me. So anyway, so we're teaching him money math, and we're starting with just $5 and $10 bills. He can build money like crazy. Like if you say, okay, I want you to use these coins and these dollars, and I want you to build $1.87, he can do that like nobody's problem. So what we're doing now is we've been working on change. So if I buy something for $2.50 and I give you a $5 bill, what's my change? And so today I just want to correlate what I did today with Brandon and the success that we had to what you can do to being proactive in your life. So here's what we did. This morning, we were talking about 5s and 10s, and we just stuck with like the coins on the 25. So a $1 bill from a $5 bill. We did that. That was very, very easy for him. And then we did the quarters, very easy. And then we did the 50 cents, 75 cents, and that's it. So what I did is first we were watching a YouTube video. It's a cartoon video, a couple of different ones about making change. And I would pause the video and he would try to give the answer. And so, for example, let's say you bought a cup of coffee for $2.50. You had a $5 bill. What's the change? And he immediately says $3.50. And I'm like, okay, so here's where he's getting stuck, right? So we start working that out. I have a little tiny whiteboard. I'm sitting with him on the couch. We're watching this video, and I'm explaining to him why it's not $3.50 and why it's $2.50 instead. So anyway, so we start kind of working through this problem in the living room, watching this video, sitting on the couch. Then after that, he gets it. It starts kind of clicking. You can see the gears are starting to put it together, right? And I won't go into all the details of how I got him there. That part's irrelevant. So we start kind of learning the skill, okay? I understand that there's a problem, which doesn't mean a problem. It just means a skill that needs to be learned, something that he could learn and I could teach him. So there's a problem, okay? And we're going to solve the problem, and here's some ways we're going to do it. Then we went to the table, and I had created a worksheet that just was some basic math, very basic money math. $5 minus $1, $5 minus $1.50, minus $1.25, minus $2.50, and it just went on and on all the way through the 5s, okay? So then he does this math. Then we basically clean that up, and now we're going to play store. And we have a little kid's cash register that has change and fake money in it. And so I get out the whiteboard, and I go grab a few items in the kitchen, and I put it down, and I take some $5 bills out of the cash register, and I say, okay, now we're going to basically apply what we're learning. Okay, so I'm going to buy this, I think I had like salt and pepper. I'm going to buy the salt and pepper for $2.50. Here's my $5 bill. And he's got the cash register. And I said, but you have to tell me the change first before you check it with the register. And so he gets this big smile on his face, and he's like, okay. And he looks and he goes, it's $2.50. And I said, high five, right? And so we make this big deal. I'm like, oh my God, you're so smart, and this is so great, and you're doing so great. And he's so happy. And so I said, okay, now check it with the register. Okay, now when the register opens, give me my change. So it was this whole process. So then we went extra credit. We did $10 bills. So I'm going to buy this salt and pepper and this mug for $7.50. I'm going to give you a $10 bill. Go ahead and do the math. And he got it. He got it all. The next step is I had to buy some broccoli for our broccoli cheddar soup that we're making tonight for dinner. So I said, let's go to the store and let's practice. We're going out into the world and we're going to practice this skill, okay? So I said, even though I'm going to pay with a credit card, I'm going to pretend that I'm going to give them a $5 bill or a $10 bill, and I want you to work out both those problems. And he's very excited. He's like, okay, he goes, I can do this. He goes, I'm a superstar. And I said, you are a superstar. Let's go do it. So we go into the store. I said, you show me where the broccoli is. And he goes over and he goes, it's in fruits and vegetables. Okay, let's go over to fruits and vegetables. Go over and we grab the broccoli, and it's about $3 a pound. Okay, and so we bought like $1.25 or something. So we go to the register, and the total is $3.38. So I put the card in, get my receipt, and he's like looking at the register. It was just a self-checkout. Look at the register, and he's like, I don't know the answer. And I said, that's what we're going to figure out. I said, so as we start going to the car, let's start figuring this out. So we get to the car. And what starts happening is he's trying to do the math. He's trying to do the math in his head. And so he's going inward and he's thinking. And he's relatively quiet anyway. He doesn't talk a bunch, unless he does. But typically he's a pretty quiet kid. So we're in the car and we're not going anywhere. I got the car started and we're sitting there. And I said, okay, so what was the total? $3.38, right? $5 bill, okay? And then what's the math? And so he's figuring out, and he gets it wrong a couple times. We show him, I correct it. And then I say, okay, let's do the $10 bill. And he did get it. He get it. After we did the math of the $5 bill, he did get it with the $10 bill. He got really excited. Okay, awesome. Okay, now we can go home. Okay, now let's correlate that. Let's run that same parallel to you being proactive. Like, what the frack does that have to do with me being proactive in my life, Jen? Okay, here's what it has to do. Here's what I used to do. I would have a problem in my life. I would bitch about it forever and a day. I would tell everybody about my problem. I would go everywhere I could. Now, there wasn't social media, but I would have been posting all over the place about my problem on social media. How many of you do that, right? We do it, right? What we're actually trying to do energetically is find the solution, but we're trying to get rid of the stuck energy about the problem, that pain that it's causing you to have the problem in your body. So complaining is a form of energy release. However, it just doesn't work. Okay. All right. So that's not what we're talking about today, but I wanted to give you that little tidbit. That was a freebie for you. Okay. So you have a problem, and let's say it's a relationship problem. And so you go and hang out with your girlfriends and you complain about your husband, or you complain about your kids or whatever. And they then complain about their kids and their husband. And all the while, no one's solving any problem, and you go home and you have the same problem. Okay. So what we do is now, as you see that there's a problem, the first step is to become aware that there's a problem. To become aware that you're complaining about it. And to shift that to say, I'm complaining about this thing, but instead of complaining, I'm going to become proactive and I'm going to solve this problem. And that's the next step. The next is to know that there's an answer. There's a solution. There's a solution to every single problem. Every single problem on the planet, in our world, there's a solution. So knowing first is becoming aware of the problem. So then you can stop and you can pause this and you go, okay, what are the biggest things that I complain about? And write those down. And then you right next to it, you say, okay, I'm aware that this is a problem and I want to solve this problem. You can't solve it from the low level thinking that created the problem, the low vibrational frequency. From anger, from despair, from hopelessness, from grief, sadness, loneliness. You can't solve the problem from there. So you have to elevate first. And that elevation is one thing. It's curiosity. I wonder. What solution can I find? What creative way could I find to solve this problem? It's one of my favorite things to do, because you go from feeling like a 1, and I mean like on the vertical scale where 1's at the bottom and you just feel like total crap and all you want to do is like start over and hit the reset button, right? I wonder immediately brings me up to a 5. I'm more elevated now. Now I can solve the problem. Now I can talk about my problem. Now, this is not the case if you're spiraling out of control and you're completely pissed off about something. You're not going to solve the problem from there. So you have to get to this somewhat of I have a problem. I'm complaining about it. I want to be proactive. Here's what I'm going to do. Okay. Know that there's an answer. And you can get there with that curiosity. I wonder. I know there's a solution. I don't know what it is right now. I don't know what it is yet. But I know there's a solution. And I'm going to find it. I'm going to be proactive. Okay. Then you're going to stand back and you're going to go, what do I need to learn? So in a relationship, I have to be aware that I'm complaining about this person that I'm with. Then I have to know that there's a solution to this problem. Then I have to ask myself, what do I need to learn? What do I need to learn? Okay, so we parallel this with Brandon. We are aware that he doesn't know money math, and we are aware that that has to be a life skill that he has. And we know that there's a solution. We know there's an answer to this problem, and we're going to go find it. What does he have to learn? He has to learn this math. He has to learn how to do this kind of subtraction math so he doesn't get ripped off out in the world, or that he just knows how, because sometimes he doesn't even know if I'm going to buy something for $17.49, I don't know what bill to give them. If I have a 10 and a 20, Brandon, I'm not sure what bill to give them. Or I have a $20 bill that I got from Christmas and I want to buy some stuff with it. I don't know if I can buy this $40 toy or if I can buy this $9 toy. So that's what we're talking about, is this very simple math. But we know there's a solution. So he has to practice, which is step 4. I need to learn a new skill, which is what we did. We learned in the living room. We went into the kitchen. We started to apply what we were practicing, pencil to paper. We started kind of playing the store, right? We're practicing what we're learning. And then now I'm going to go out into the real life and practice this. So here's what happens a lot when I work with clients and we start talking about skills like working through limiting beliefs or using affirmations or intentions. Here's what happens. They are aware that their words do not satisfy the experience that they want. They are saying things like, I feel terrible. My something hurts. I hate my job. Right? And so you have to be aware of knowing that those words that you're saying are hurting your experience. When you say, I hate something, Amy and I always joke. We start a sentence with, you know what I hate? And I go, what a great way to start a sentence. And then we laugh. And I said, are you sure you want to finish that? She goes, we'll just talk real quick about it. We say that all the time. But then we problem solve, right? So being aware, okay, is the very first thing. Then now knowing my words create my reality. The words that I use. If I am consistently complaining about something that is going on in my life that I don't want to experience, I have to start flipping that around. Now, it's really hard to just shift the words. Okay? I'm like the number one complainer. I'm getting better at it. And I don't mean better at complaining. I mean better at flipping it around. So when I hear a complaint, I go, okay, if I wasn't feeling that, what would I be feeling? If I didn't believe that statement that just came out of my mouth, what would I be saying? What would I be believing? And I start flipping it around. I'm now playing with and practicing what I'm learning. So when Brandon and I went out to the store, we're saying, okay, we're going to go buy broccoli. There's lots of distractions. There's people, there's noise. Valentine's candy is out, so he gets distracted by that. There's a lady in a cart in front of us, and she's got a toy in her car, and he's in her cart, and she's distracted by that. So it's a perfect scenario to practice what you're learning. So when you're out in the world and you go, okay, Jen says I'm aware of my words creating a problem in my life. Okay, so the words that I'm using about my husband or my wife or my kids it's perpetuating that situation. It's perpetuating this crappy relationship. So I have to know there's an answer to this solution. Then it turns to me. Okay, not them. Well, if my husband would just clean up his socks, if he would just spend time with the kids, if he would just do the dishes, right? It's not out there. It's in here. So I have to clean up my energy. Okay? So I look at me and go, what do I have to learn? What skills do I need to apply? Okay? So to create the solution. Then it's practice. Okay, so Jen says my words are creating this situation in my relationship. Okay, so I'm going to de-energize. That's a word we use to get rid of limiting beliefs. We're going to de-energize that so I can make room. I can make room in my energy. I can get to that place of curiosity. I can make room in my energy to find a solution. And then what do I have to learn? Oh, I have to learn that I can have a loving relationship. I have to learn that I deserve a loving relationship. I have to learn how to love myself. If I learn to love myself at a deeper level, I can love another at a deeper level, right? If I start meditating and I start connecting with source energy at a deeper level, then I feel whole. I'm more patient. I'm kinder. I'm softer. I'm more loving. I'm more lovable, etc., etc. And then practice. I learn this thing and then I practice. Remember the relationship that I had, a 4-year relationship that should have lasted 4 days. I had to be aware that it was a problem. Then I had to know that there was a solution. That's when I'm like, you know what? Other people have great relationships. I want one too. And screw that I'm gay. I don't care. I deserve a loving relationship. Then I had to learn self-love. I had to start loving myself. And I did that through self-care. I started loving myself through self-care. Now I've got the confidence. And you know what? Bye, past relationship. And I started practicing what I was learning. Practicing every single day. I put it in front of me every single day. Now, speed forward, I'm in a loving, wonderful, successful, healthy, supportive, loving, passionate, inspirational relationship. And I don't want you to have to wait 27 years to get to it. These are the tools that I've used. These are the tools. These are the lessons. It is in this teaching that I'm telling you, you can be proactive in your life. You no longer have to play the victim. You no longer, because I'm telling you this, and please take this how I mean it. I don't mean it to be a dig or a kick in the shin. I mean it to empower you and to help you to take responsibility for your own life. And that is, no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to save you. Everybody is on a journey and everybody is struggling in some way because it never stops. You learn something and then you become aware of something else and then you have to problem solve that thing. And I just keep saying the same thing. Go inward, self-love, self-love, self-love. Go inward, meditate, get in there, work with the energy, and find that alignment. And then you go out into the world and you practice. You practice. There were times early on where I would feel this chaos in the household, right? I went from living by myself to living with my partner and then 2 teenage boys to then we broke up and it was me and Bob for a while. And then Amy and 2 little boys move in, right? And it was quite chaotic. It was very difficult for us. So I remember thinking like, this is really challenging. And I go in and I do this and I'm like, okay, there's a problem, but it's me. And so I'm going to read, I'm going to study, I'm going to learn something new. I'm going to learn how to create this household and build this family. And then I would leave the room and I'm like, okay, can't do it. Because I'm going to go practice. I'd come back, I'd go back in the bedroom. I'm like, okay, I need to get calm. I'm feeling very anxious. I'm like receiving too much overwhelm and too much chaos. And there's a lot going on. Okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to calm down. I'm going to ground. I'm going to go back out and I'm going to practice. And that's what I did over and over and over again until we built this close-knit family. That is a wonderful, beautiful foundation that we stand on. Do we have difficulties? Hell yeah, we do. Because there's 4 people living in this house, right? And 2 women leading the front. 2 emotional women leading the front of 2 boys, right? So of course we have those. But the love foundation and the connection that we have built is amazing. And I want that for you too. And I know you can have it. It's now the way to be proactive. First, be aware that there's a problem. The thing that you're complaining about, get your journal out and go, what do I complain about the most? If somebody walked in and said, let me hear all your problems, what would I start telling them? Be aware that what you're saying right there is a problem. And then right after that, move to curiosity. It says, I wonder what the solution is going to be. I wonder what the answer is going to be. Because I promise you, I guarantee it, there's a solution to that problem. And then you ask yourself, what do I have to learn? Now, this could just be a perspective. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to learn a skill, but maybe it does. You can learn a skill, and it's maybe learn a perspective shift. Oh, it's because I use such crappy tones that now my teenage daughter doesn't want to talk to me. So I have to learn how to soften my tone. Okay? So it could be just as simple as a perspective shift. Then you go practice. You go and you practice using a softer tone. Go out there into the world. Go out there, be humbled, be vulnerable, and put yourself in that position to make yourself the best version of you that you can be. And being proactive is, to me, it's the opposite of victimhood. Victim is helplessness, and sometimes it's learned helplessness because there was some payoff along the way. And I played the victim role. I come from a long line of victim. Okay, victimhood mentality. I come from a very long line of it. And it ends with me. It ends with me. Being proactive, you get in the flow. And you don't look to somebody else for answers. You don't waste time and energy complaining. You get to the end and you're like, dang it, you know what? There's my problem. I'm aware that it's a problem, and here's what I'm going to do. And here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to learn. And you go and you learn it, and then you go and you practice it. So I hope this finds you well, and I hope that this motivates you to become just a little bit more proactive, a little bit more empowered, and a little bit more responsible for the bold, beautiful life that you, my friend, deserve. If you enjoyed this show, please consider making a small donation. This helps me to continue creating powerful episodes for you each week, but also you become a bigger part of changing the world by changing yourself one episode at a time. By investing in my show, you are investing in yourself, your life, and your planet. And by elevating yourself, you are elevating others around you. And I thank you.